All right. Hello, moms of teens and tweens. Let me get Kelly on here. I am going to add her in just a second. I'm so glad I'm in my little classroom, my VIP kid classroom. And Kelly is going, hi, Lisa. So as soon as I see Kelly pop up in this group, I will add her to the broadcast. And we'll get started and interview her. I can't wait for all of you guys to join me in this conversation. Okay, let's see. Let me go in the Mott's group. Okay, let's see if she's on here yet. Hi, Leonore. Hi, Lisa. Give me a little thumbs up or like or heart. Let me know that you're here and where you are watching from. So, let me tell Kelly I am live in there. And whenever I see Kelly pop up, I'll be able to add her to the broadcast. How's everybody doing today? Welcome. We're going to learn from Kelly. She's a good friend of mine. And I'm going to add her. Hi, Sarah. I'm glad that you're here. And hello, Lisa. Let me know where you're watching from. And also let me know how old your kids are whenever you pop on to this broadcast. So let me know. Okay, Kelly, I'm going to add you now. And sharing request. Good morning. Tell us how old your kids are when you pop on to watch this. So, hey, there we figured it out, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad we got this to work.
I know. We have, just so that our fellow watchers, we've been practicing. So I told them all, Kelly, let me type this in a comment. You're at work, no problem. So let me tell us you are here. And I'm telling this to everybody so they can see this when they pop on. And
Okay.
your kids' ages. All right.
Okay.
So there. All right, so Kelly, Kelly, I want you to start. Tell us about yourself and your kids, and go ahead.
Okay, so I have 4 kids. My oldest 2 are boys, the youngest 2 are girls. 22, 20, 16, and 10. So we have one, we call her our caboose, and we laugh, going to be parenting forever. We're going to be ancient, get her out the door. I've been married, it'll be 24 years, and also a clinical therapist, so I specialize in working with children and families, and so that's been a unique journey too. I started in that field when I was really young, working in a group home for boys, and psychiatric hospitals for teenage kids in foster care. So I kind of had spent a lot of time around kids before having my own. But having your own is just a whole nother journey.
It is. It's a whole new ball game. So I want to know, Kelly, you've made it through the tween years. And all of us in this group, we are currently in the trenches of parenting teenagers and tweenagers. So I want to know, what are things that you know now that you wish you knew when you were at our season of parenting? I know that's a lot. That's a loaded question.
I know everyone says this, and I remember really trying to be mindful and aware that it does go quickly, because when you're in the throes of it and the exhaustion of it and the busyness of it, it doesn't seem like that, but in hindsight, when you look back, and for me, I think I would just encourage us moms to slow down and really value relationship above all. When they're in those years, kids want to talk at the most seemingly inconvenient times. It's 10:30 at night when your 14-year-old daughter finally wants to talk about why she's been cranky when she came home from school. And it's easy to just go, oh, honey, I'm tired. Let's just go to bed. But instead, to seize that moment and sit down on the couch and let her talk. I just can't, I guess for me looking back, I would say I didn't seize every moment. I certainly was a perfect parent. I think we just want to hit the mark as often as we can. But I am glad for the wisdom that some others gave me along the way, and I tried my best to seize those moments and look for them and cultivate them and take the time to go grab a coffee with one of them or whatever they're into, or yogurt, frozen yogurt. Because I can see now in my young adult kids, like they enjoy being with their family. My 22-year-old, he's off on his own. He's living in another city. But he's driving home this weekend, so we're excited he'll be home for a few days. But he calls, and when I see that number, I make a point to answer it if at all. And I'll get that 45-minute dump of his heart and soul and what's going on. And so I'm really, I'm in a season now with young adults even of reaping some of the fruit of the investment of relationship in those years.
So Kelli, tell us how you handled, like, I read online somewhere about the top 10 concerns that parents have with parenting teens. And they are like bullying and their health, and then of course sex with your teens, all of those like big hot topics. And I want y'all watching, ask Kelli your questions, like what questions do you have with parenting your teens right now, so that we can answer those. So I say, like, just from my own experience, my kids, since we do homeschool, I don't really experiencing a whole lot of bullying or anything really right now, other than maybe bullying their sisters. Mine is more like the mouthiness, like the short-tempered and I don't know, it's like an arrogance, or they just talk back. So how do you handle that as a parent? What do you say when your kid is mouthing off to you or talking back or being snippy and short without wanting to punch him in the face? So
sure. I'll give you a couple thoughts on that. If you notice something like that, to me, that's a bit of a character trait that's starting to develop. I mean, obviously, we all need to learn to kind of control our impulses, and we've got hormones going on and different things in this age. One of the things I've learned along the way is the value of recognizing something. And I call it the little foxes. There's a scripture that says, catch for us the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. So when you start to see that little thing and it's kind of repeating itself and you're noticing it, what I do is I kind of do a, mental note to self. Mental note to self. I'm seeing this happen. Very often we want to teach and train in the heat of a moment. And that is really the least likely time that they're truly going to learn. So really best when they're heated, you're heated, to kind of say, you know what, mommy needs to take a little time out and calm down. We'll talk about this later. Or maybe you need to go in your room and take some time to calm down. We'll talk about this later. But I call that, we got to get from red back down into the green. When our brain is in the green, we can actually access the frontal lobe. When kids are upset, regulated, they really can't access the logical part of the brain you're wanting them to have connection with anyway. So we need to calm down. And then with my mental note to self, I'm swinging back around to talk with them about it in a calm moment. So we might need to later, or I might look for an open opportunity. Maybe we are going to Yogurt Mountain, we're sitting down, and I pray and just say, Lord, open the door for this conversation. I'm going to set it up in that way and say, honey, or, bud, I've been noticing that when I ask you to do something, your first response has become a little defensive or a little disrespectful. So I'm going to address it, and then I'm going to tell him exactly what I want to see in the change. So in moving forward, I really want you to work on, when I come to you and ask you something, you take that deep breath, and I want you to be able to listen and go, okay, yes, mom, or whatever it is you're working on. And I'm going to help you in that because this is something dad you grow in or whatever. So my point is teach in the green. Sometimes you cannot necessarily do the training in the heat of the moment.
Right.
You need to sit down and let them know we're going to work on this. When I used to tell my kids we're going to work on this, that meant we were on it. Now you can battle 5 fronts. You need to, my encouragement would be choose one thing.
Okay.
What is the lead domino? If the lead domino is kind of that sassy disrespectfulness, then that's the thing we're going to focus on.
Okay.
You can teach it like in your setting page, maybe, during your homeschool time, you've got a lesson on it. We're talking about what respect looks like. And let me give you ladies these 3 components of respect. Respect is your face, it's your tone, and it's your words.
That's good. Did y'all get that? Respect is your face, your tone, and your words.
So when we sit down in the green and we talk about in our family, we are going to be kind and respectful. And this is what, guys, it means we're going to work on our face. We're going to work
so good.
And we're going to work on our words. Let's practice this, and you can make it fun. I can see you, Paige. You could have 5 little scenarios and they have to read it with a respectful face, a disrespectful face. You see how you can say the same, say, sure, mom, I'll take out the trash. Or, sure, mom, I'll take out the trash. Same words, very different. So we teach them what we want it to look like. Then you're in the heat of the moment, which is going to happen. And you start to hear that sass. Your first response would be light. Ooh, that didn't, I try to go with the positive. Ooh, you know what? I would love to help you with that, but I need you to ask again with respect.
That's good.
So give opportunity to pause, correct themselves, and do it again correctly. Or it might be a little stronger. Ooh, you know what? I would love to help you. Would you like to go back out the kitchen and come on in again and ask me that in a respectful tone? Or, oh, you know what? I think we need to work on our face, honey. There's ways you can kind of do it lightly. There's ways you might have to be a little more structured. Another thought, and this is a really easy one, and a lot of families I work with love this, and it's the word regardless. So let me tell you how that works.
Okay, yeah.
You have a kiddo who's, I like to call them the little young lawyers, right? They have great rationales. They always have something to say back, right? Another reason why you should do what they want or whatever's going on. And as parents, we can get sucked into that. So for every minute, you're going back and forth with a kiddo, with your teen, with your tween, your chronological age starts lowering, and you usually get in the red. Yeah, every minute, back and forth, back and forth. So when we're getting kind of heated, we want to work on keeping our statements very short. So 12 words.
12 words or less. So, give me an example of like a conversation.
Okay, so conversation might be, honey, Dad and I have decided that we want to have family time on Friday night. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go to the movies with your friends. We'd love to be able to do that another time. She starts in, why can't I go? You're not fair. You never let me do anything. Blah, 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 right? She's releasing little rabbits. Right? And we're running down. Now we're back and forth. We are fair. No, instead, we would not bite bait and simply use the word regardless. You're not fair. You don't know. Regardless, Dad and I have decided that we'll be having family time on Friday night.
Okay. Whew, that's going to be, if y'all didn't get that, regardless, let that new word be a part of your vocabulary. Okay, so Sarah has a question.
Okay.
Okay, she says, my oldest son just turned 12. How do you handle it when they become moody or upset about something they don't want to talk about?
Okay. I might help them identify the feeling. I mean, ultimately, I would love them to find the words to share
Right,
how they're feeling. But sometimes when they're kind of in that yellow, I mean, think of it, green, yellow, red, their brain's revving up, they're getting upset. Your
right,
goal is really just to help them calm down. So
right,
I might say something like, honey, it seems like you're a little overwhelmed right now, or maybe today's been a tough day. Mommy would love to talk with you about it, but why don't you take a little bit of time to rest? Do you want a snack?
right.
Like, give them a little space, and really sometimes you have to look actually at those body needs. Like,
Yeah,
is their blood sugar stable? Are they over? If they're at school, it's a long day, and
right.
it can be sensory overload to go to school and deal with everything they're dealing with. So I think we've got to help identify it and say, maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed. I understand that. um, you know let's take a break. Here, have a snack, and
Right.
maybe we'll talk later about your
Yeah.
day.
Dr. Kevin
It'll,
Lehman, oh, sorry, he said that in his book. He's like, make sure they're not, feed the kids. Like after school, make sure you have something in the car to give the kids to eat. Because often, and I notice that with my own kids when they've been playing sports a lot and going out places, if you feed them, they are so much happier and more willing to work with you. Jamie says, besides prayer, what do you do when your husband disagree on disciplining measures, consequences, etc.? And then Laura asked, what consequences do you give for back talking? So, what do you do when your husband disagree? Answer that one first. When you guys disagree on disciplining.
okay. It's really great to have discussion ahead of time with your husband about what will we do when we disagree,
Uh huh.
because you want to have a plan before it happens, because it is
Right.
going to happen. At some point, I mean, very rarely are we perfectly on the same page of agreement through the whole parenting journey. So it's good to sit down and go, when this occurs, how can we handle that?
Right.
My encouragement at a base level is that you decide how you're going to back the person in front of the child.
Uh huh.
So you undermine their authority, and hopefully they're working towards the same. And then you determine how you'll talk about it separately,
Uh-huh.
um, come to a conclusion together, and then return to the kiddo with that united front. Even if we go behind doors and talk and maybe we adjust something, we come back saying, you know what, dad and I talked, or
Uh-huh.
mom and I. It's always that we language.
Okay.
Mom and talked, and after further consideration, I've decided it probably would be okay for us to extend your curfew by half an hour. So yes, you may come home at 11:30 on Friday
Uh-huh.
evening. So I think the pre-planning of that is the most helpful piece, because
Okay.
chances are happen, and you don't want to be handling it back and forth in front of the child.
Right. Okay, Laura wanted to know, what consequences do you give for back talk? Like, let's say a kid's back talking you. What consequences? What are some things that maybe some of us haven't thought of versus our own back talking them? Because obviously, if we do that, what did you say? Our own age goes down.
Yeah, we start lowering
Yes.
mental age. Um, well, I think again, you want to set it up in the green. So you want to be really clear on your expectations. What does it look like? This is something we're working on. Then when it happens, your first round is to redirect, to give them that chance to do it again correctly.
Uh-huh.
If they are unable to do that, then I think whatever it is they're seeking, they don't get. I mean, that's a logical, easy, connected conclusion. So if you're asking me for additional time on the iPad, and my answer is when you're not receiving, now it's becoming disrespectful, then the automatic loss is there won't be additional time on the iPad, because
Right.
until you speak respectfully, chances are you're not going to get what you want.
Right.
You you could take it further. I mean, if it's really an ongoing issue, when I set it up in the beginning with them, I'd be very clear about what is going to happen. So they know if they make the choice to continue on with being disrespectful, they've chosen the consequence. So I mean, you want to tie it as logically as possible, but I'm trying to think. You could, go ahead, Paige.
Oh, well, because Laura says redirect, give them a chance to say it correctly every time, though. Should you, like, every time the kid is misbehaving or backtalking, you should redirect them and give them the chance to get it right?
If it's happening a lot, you could choose to kind of cut it off and ignore, like, oh, you know what? I'm not ready to hear that disrespectful tone. I'll be in the kitchen when you're ready to speak respectfully, and I would just walk off.
Okay.
In a sense, that is redirecting, but I think what we water grows.
Yeah.
So,
did you get that, girls? What we water grows. Yes.
Yeah. As much as I want to remove my attention from disrespect, because in a way, if I keep going back and forth and I'm giving my attention, it's wearing me down. I'm really kind of watering this negative thing.
Right.
So I want to disengage from that, and I want to water what I want to see grow. So every time I see them interacting respectfully, responding in a kind and respectful tone, I want to acknowledge it. I mean, not to the point where it's overdue. But if you're working on it, I might say something like, thanks, honey. That was so great how you just said okay, and took the trash out. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm watering that thing that I want to grow. When that negative, respectful part, if it's presenting itself a lot, I think you need to do the sit down teaching up front and let them know, we're going to work on this, and this is what we want to see. So, I don't know.
Jamie wants to know, what parameters and boundaries do you instill with screen time?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, how do you handle that one, Kelly?
Yeah. Hey, I'm kind of, you're probably not asking the best person. I have kind of strong opinions about it.
Okay.
I think
it's okay.
And you're asking me, so I'm going to tell you what they are.
Yeah.
I think we're in a dangerous time. I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but I need you to understand the context that I speak in as well. I oversee an intensive in-home counseling program and a number of counselors, and we get calls from families whose 8-year-olds are having complete meltdowns when they're trying to remove the iPad from their hands. It's almost like an addict who's having their drugs away. The response is so strong. And I think the reality is that all of these screens are having an impact on our kids' brains. Things like learning to entertain yourself, learning to be creative. Boredom is a good thing. It's good for kids to be bored. It's good for them to have to go figure out what to do with a stick in the backyard. We are not here to be their constant entertainers, and we are not doing them a service by attempting to be so. So as much as I have used screens to babysit my kids when I needed to cook dinner or I need to get something done, I guess my number one advice is use screen time when it serves you. Limit what you think is feasible, which is what Jamie's asking me, and I would say an hour a day is a thoughtful starting point. If you have little bitty guys who are 2 years, we're not talking about that. We're talking about teens.
No, but some of them have siblings that are little as well. We've got some teenagers or tweens and teens, and they still have little ones, and so
I would say little bits for little ones. Why does a 2-year-old need to sit with a screen on for hours? They can learn how to play blocks. They can see, what it is we're developing a muscle. We're developing attentiveness. We're developing the ability to fulfill your own need for something to do, as opposed to relying on mom to constantly fill that need for you, or relying on a screen. For teens and adolescents, I think just look at your family life. Are you hitting your other values? Like, do we have family time? Do we have dinner together? If your kids are going to school and let's say they participate in an activity, by the time we come home, do homework, have some family time, there should likely not be a lot of time left for screens. I think in that regard, what is reasonable? A half hour, an hour? Do you have a basket where phones get checked in?
No, I need that. I need that.
No screens during meals.
Yeah.
With starting point. How do you feel about them having a screen in their hand in their room through the night?
Right.
You got to. How you feel about that? Maybe the chargers are in mom's room or mom and dad's room, and they plug phones in there at night.
Right.
I think I feel I've got 3 kids through this stage. They have proven themselves trustworthy. They're still kids. It doesn't matter how pure their intent is. We all know we can accidentally hit one little button and be exposed to all kinds of things. It's hard to protect from that. And in some ways, no matter how diligent we are, we can't 100% ensure that that's not going to happen. I think we can just do the best we can to place priorities and have those conversations. I'm having I still to this day will send my kids some little something about, look what happens to your brain when you spend too much time on a screen. I want them to know how to have conversations with people.
Right.
Not just.
That's right.
And that's a social skill that's declining because this generation coming up has about 40% less time actually engaged with friends face to face than before.
Wow.
They're very engaged via screen.
Right.
They struggle more so to communicate face to face and have real conversations. I think down the line, that's not serving our kids well. So, limiting that, requiring relationship, let's go play with our friend. Your friend's coming over. You guys can play your video game for 30 minutes, then go outside and find a stick.
Yeah, I think that's key. And I was reminded, like yesterday, I went back to for my little ones that are, 5 and 7, just to go back to the library. And I've been having to do more crafts and things like that and get out. I mean, the weather's been crummy where we live right now, so they haven't been able to play outside as much. But yeah, go to the library, look for free resources of outside activities that you can do with your kids. Okay, Kelli, I don't know how long we've been on there, but I want to close with, what are your top parenting books or resources or blogs that you would recommend for us to check out? And then also, where can people find you so that they can maybe get your services? Kelli you do counseling, you'll go to people's houses and help them with their parenting, assess their family. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So first thing, share your favorite either parenting book that really helped you out, or website or anything like that we need to know about.
Okay. There is a good book. It's called The Connected Child.
Okay.
I will tell you, you may not feel like it relates to you when you first pick it up, because it's actually written for parents dealing with children coming from hard places. So it's predominantly written to adoptive parents, parents of foster children, so kids that have trauma in their history. But the techniques, the parenting principles work with some of the toughest kids. They tend to work with all kids. So there's really great principles in there. It's a very strong balance of connection and correction. So working on that relationship, but then having some practical tools to correct that work well.
Okay. Is there any websites that we should frequent and check out, or authors that we should check out or know about that you're like, yes, you need to read this, or that know about this resource?
I think you could check out No Drama Discipline.
Okay. No Drama Discipline. Okay.
It's more so based on some of the current research we have on the brain. Like, for example, what you were speaking about, Paige, giving kids food when you pick them up. Like, we know that behavior plummets when blood sugar plummets.
Okay, did y'all get that? Behavior, I'll type this in. Behavior plummets when blood sugar plummets.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Really struggling with, be mindful of that. Look for that pattern. Is there a point in the day where he or she tends to be more challenging? Chances are, not that that's solely it, but that could be one of the things to pay attention to, and you might need to show up with that snack in hand. You want this snack to be high in protein, mixed with a complex carb if possible.
Okay.
So cheese and a whole wheat cracker, peanut butter. Get some protein in them. That's going to help stabilize that blood sugar. That'll help get you through that witching hour, which is what I call the like 4 p.m. where you're trying to get dinner, homework. Those would be 2 good starting points.
Okay.
I can't say there's like a website that I'm in love with.
All right. Is there a website for you or a Facebook page or anything like that? Or should I just, Kelli she's here in the group. Y'all can private message her if you have more, deep questions or anything like that or need advice, please reach out to Kelli. Or Kelli, is there another way to reach out to you that you want me to share?
That would be great. If you really want to stay in touch, you can message me or email and I'll add you to my email list.
Okay.
And I am starting a Facebook page called Healing Parenting. I just threw it up there. There's nothing on it, but if you want to like the page, hopefully there will be something on it eventually. But yes, feel free to message me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to put it's called Healing Parenting.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, I'm going to put that on there. All right, well, thank you, Kelli, for joining me for this discussion. And whoever is watching this maybe later on and you have questions, be sure to leave them on here. And Kelli, I'll tell you to check this post later on and you can respond to some of the questions that anybody has on here later on. So thanks for joining me. This was fun. I hope everybody watching enjoyed this. And thanks for helping us. So, all right, see you next time, Kelli. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Mom.
Bye.